So we're talking about the snow for some.
You almost said storm, didn't you?
I almost said storm.
You caught it, yeah.
And lack of snow for everybody else.
Yeah.
So kind of explain what happened with this system, because definitely the coast got the most.
Oh, I mean, we said it on the air all morning. The coast stole the show. We had reports of 1 to 3 inches, even 4. I think I saw a report in Manzanita.
Yeah.
But basically, from the Long Beach Peninsula all the way down through Lincoln City, every single camera pic I saw had snow all the way to the beach itself, and then of course all of the ODOT coast cameras showed snow. And some of those, the high coast range passes, started looking snowy by, I don't know, 4 o'clock or so yesterday afternoon. I'm not sure what the Sunset Highway had, but it looked like they had at least a good 4 inches of snow, or 3 to 4 inches of snow up top. So this was a low that came out of Canada, and it basically pulled off of that same cold air mass that made news across the eastern U.S. Last week. Now, obviously, we didn't get that type of cold, but we pulled a little finger of cold air off of that. And the low stayed offshore, and it didn't turn out to be strong enough, at least overnight and this morning, to throw much moisture up over the coast range into the valley.
Yeah, we just couldn't get that temperature right here.
But, you know, Sandy had, of course, we're up at 1,000 feet. They had, I think, Maggie Vespa, who was up there live for us this morning, reported about an inch of wet snow, but the roads were fine. Saw a lot of dustings to about 1/2 of an inch in some of the elevations 600 feet and higher in the Happy Valley area out in Clackamas County. And then multiple reports of people driving in Portland and Vancouver down low saying, hey, we've got snow showers in the air, but it was mostly flurries, it looked to me like, and ground temperatures up and down the heart of the I-5 corridor. It never really got below about 35 degrees this morning.
That's what I saw, yeah.
But I do want to point out that this snow shower forecast with daytime highs in the 30s to about 40, so that continues into this evening. And it's certainly possible that this evening, when temperatures start getting down, that we could have one last snow shower come through where the temperature would be 32, and anywhere and everywhere it could get, hey, finally a little dusting of snow. So, I mean, I don't think.
Do you run the risk of things refreezing then with our cold temperatures this week if we get precipitation?
Yeah. So that would be the main concern, not the let's say we get a dusting of snow at 7 o'clock in downtown Portland, which we could. But the bigger concern would not be the fact that we have snow, the fact that that's going to make everything wet. Temperatures tonight, low to mid-20s. That would set up black ice patches for tomorrow morning, which should be dry. Now, the coldest we've been at the airport so far this year, 29.
Okay.
So we think it's a slam dunk that tonight will be the coldest night of winter. Yeah. And if we don't get up to 42 today, which we may or we may not, but if we don't, then today becomes the coldest daytime high temperature of the winter season.
Interesting. Okay, if you have any questions for Rod, we do have one question, producer Jared. What do they say?
Yeah, Jackie Southard would like to know if we're going to get snow in the valley this weekend. She said, I saw maybe freezing rain in the forecast.
Yeah, that is on
I don't, it's interesting. I wonder if she's saying freezing rain because she saw the little icons on your phone somewhere and they show like a raindrop or a snowflake. Everything I've looked at, there's no threat of any freezing rain or really not even sleet. This looks like it's all an air mass that's really cold until you get all the way down right above the surface. So that would be nothing but snowflakes or raindrops. You know, what happens is, you know, you get it's a snowflake, maybe even in the summer when it initially leaves the cloud. Yeah. And then, of course, if it runs into above 32-degree temperatures, it melts before it hits the ground, and then that's a raindrop when that snowflake melts. But Saturday is the day that I'm watching.
For possibly a few snowflakes.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think Saturday looks more interesting in terms of snow accumulation for Portland right now than today ever looked. And we started looking at today back on Wednesday of last week. So I just finished the forecast models this morning. The latest one showed the potential of 0.4 of an inch of moisture. If that would be all snow, that would be 4 inches of snow maybe in Portland. But again, that's way out. You know, the guidance models still give Portland a high temperature of 40 on Saturday. But a couple things. 'Cause we were looking at phones.
Well, I want to get to that in just a second because there's so many apps on your iPhone, and we're going to show you some of them that I have 3 of them on my phone.
You're a weather girl. Well, I mean, a weather person in that you have interest in weather because you have all those apps on your phone.
Yes, you're the scientist. But there's so many places that we can look for the temperature, and the icons make a difference, and it's like, what do you trust, you know, a computer or a person? But first, I want to ask you, like, how hard is it to forecast snow in our metro area? I mean, it's hard.
It is because, you know, I mean, the classic snow setup and the 12-inch snowstorm for us is typically the one where it's been really cold, the east winds are blowing out of the gorge, it's in the 20s, and you have a specific system move in off of the ocean that's really wet, and it collides with that cold air, and bam, you got a foot of snow.
Yeah.
So that's our classic big setup, which we only get every handful of years, or maybe only once a decade, really, depending on what's going on. But these little piddly things are interesting because if the wind flow isn't dominant enough, you end up with cold air pockets trapped while other areas stay above freezing, and then it gets to be a mess. You know, like today we had Sandy 1,000 feet get an inch of wet snow. Didn't have anything in the West Hills as far as I know.
Yeah.
Same elevation. You had the coast, the beach, pretty close to the same elevation as downtown Portland. Portland stayed mid-30s and got nothing. Astoria at 32 degrees and had a couple inches of snow on the ground.
Yeah.
So if you're just connecting the dots of elevation, you had quite varying results just this morning. But, you know, the big headline for today is if you watched our weather, going back to Thursday on sunrise, every single graphic we put up, the headline on the graphic was, we were tracking snow showers today, not a snowstorm.
Right.
And what did we say? Well, the potential maybe up to 2 inches at sea level in scattered areas, but it would be tough to tell who got down to freezing, who didn't. Well, actually, we got 2 inches or more at the beach. So, you know, pretty much everything we were tracking for today has already come true, but in scattered different locations.
Yeah.
And am I good enough to pinpoint the scattered area that's going to get this or that? No, I think I'm good enough to. Well, no, man, I think I'm good enough to throw out what the possibilities are. Now, I would love to be able to say this county gets this, this county gets that.
Hard.
But we're not quite good enough to do that.
Okay, so we want to show you. Let's get to this because I know a lot of people are wondering about this. I'm going to walk up to this camera and show you my phone.
All right, here we go.
Can I tell?
What kind of phone is this, Nina? Viewers
this is just an iPhone.
Just an iPhone.
I don't know how much you can see it. But, okay, so I've got the traditional Apple weather icon here. And this is for Portland. And it says our next chance of snow is Friday with that snow icon with a low of 31. Then it has Sunday, Monday, snowflakes possible, lows in the 26, 27 degree range. Then you go to Yahoo Weather. You go to Portland, and they have maybe a little snowflake with rain Friday, Saturday.
What's the high?
Different.
On Friday, Saturday. You know, what's the high on that?
Back up a little bit. It's having a hard time focusing.
Oh, I see.
Oh, is it?
Okay.
What's the high on Friday? Nina, what's the high on Friday and
the
Saturday?
high on Friday, they say, is 39.
Okay.
The other app says 40, so that's close-ish. Yeah. On the KGW app, the numbers are quite a bit smaller. You have 40 and 30, and with our next snow showers possibly on Saturday. So, let me grab my microphone, come over here. How do you...
Well,
who do we trust, Rod?
So
tell people how these apps are made.
Well, first off, what's the overwhelming weather story there? It's going to be pretty chilly all week with low temperatures,
they're all
most
kind
nights
of in
around
agreement.
freezing, and daytime highs not much above 40.
Right.
So right there, you're in an air mass where it wouldn't take much to wiggle it to get snow or rain. You're kind of on the fence. But, you know, these apps,
where are they getting their information?
They're computer programmed, right? So they have to have some indice to write that program to. So there's two main indices that we look at, and they're available for any computer programmer. One of them is called a thickness variable, which basically is a measure of the density of the air mass. And by doing that, I know this is ugly, boring, but by doing that, you can calculate a temperature.
Yeah.
But so if the thickness value is 540, and I'm writing a computer program, then I can make the case for snow at 540. And there are similar numbers for whatever the temperature is at 5,000 feet. But my point is, those are programs that have to be locked into a certain number. That all sounds great.
But you're taking into account your history and knowledge of the area.
But we look at those indices as well, but then you also have to calculate what's the wind direction going to be, and other items that are really a little too variable for a forecast computer program to lock onto.
So you're basically saying check the KGW app. Rod Hill's forecast.
Well, that's what we're saying. But I do want to point out, Saturday is a similar beach to the one we had today, but it looks like the air is a little bit colder. It looks like there's a little bit more moisture involved. So certainly at this point, if you say it's a possible, Portland could have several inches of snow Saturday. At this point, I'd have to go, yeah, that's a possibility that we're tracking. So I think anything Thursday is really piddly stuff. I think anything Friday is piddly stuff. Saturday, we're keeping an eye on.
All right. Jared, we had a Facebook question.
We have several. Earlier, Rod, you said that that what you were talking about was very boring, but Richard Vargo wants to say Rod can take a very boring topic and put tons of excitement into it.
Oh,
But yet
thank
Nina
you.
was rolling her eyes while I was talking. Thank you.
So, it goes over your head. I'm like, so the computers just use this information. You use your knowledge and the wind speed, to make it even more attuned
And
to
again,
our area.
the difficult thing is, so again, for this particular system, we said snow showers, not snowstorm. We really stressed that. It never looked like there was going to be enough moisture in the fact to produce a storm. It never looked like the precipitation would be widespread. We thought it'd be scattered, so then scattered snow shower. So is that correct? Absolutely. Was there the unknown of whether Portland or all of the valley floor would get down to freezing? Would the valley floor hold in the mid-30s? We talked about that. That turned out to be correct?
Right.
Absolutely. Just keep in mind, you can't just hear the word snow or see a snowflake on your phone and think, oh my gosh, it's going to snow. And you wake up the next morning, those guys are idiots. It didn't snow. I mean, it doesn't work that way. Typically we go out of our way to give you what the range of possibilities is going to be. And I'm going to say even often we may paint the possibility in this checker box over Portland. It turns out to be maybe in Yamhill County. Today, the big 2-inch storm turned out to be at the beach.
Yeah.
So it's tough to get the checkerboard exactly correct. If we get the possibilities correct over the area, then we usually feel pretty good about ourselves.
Okay. Another question?
Yeah, so Mike, I hope I get this name right. Mike Obaid asks, should we be safe going out tonight for any evening activities downtown?
Well, again, we have snow shower threat, I would say, is at least 50-50 through 7 o'clock. But at 7 o'clock tonight, Portland could be freezing. So,
but it's not supposed to rain or anything today.
Well, we have the ongoing chance for a scattered rain shower / snow shower. But
So
taken as a whole,
slick.
I think it's going to be a mostly dry daytime.
Okay.
I always tell people I feel good about playing golf today, meaning it's going to be pretty dry. The only thing
That's the hidden meaning.
the only thing we're really watching is whether or not we have a last snow shower too that falls in the evening, because that could come down with freezing. And then what would we have? We would have a dusting
Not
of snow.
much. Okay.
And again, the bigger concern would be that would lead to black ice. So if you're going to be out tonight, temperatures are going to be freezing pretty quickly, and anything that looks glazed over is probably going to be black ice. So that's going to be your number one concern.
All right, good to know.
Yeah, we kind of have a related question to that. Michael Harrington, he is a Lyft driver, and he'd like to know how the West Hills are going to be. He wants to know how good and bad the elevations will be because demand increases in the worst areas quickly.
Right.
Well, we haven't seen, what we're not seeing is, you have to have what we call advection wind patterns, which is basically a strong enough wind to slam up against the hills. And when that happens, that creates lift, and then you get those explosive precipitation rates. Where down low, you got just a dab, but up in the hills, you got this much. We're not seeing a wind field to support that. So the only reason there would be more snow in the West Hills, for example, this evening than downtown Portland is simply because they're going to get colder faster, so therefore they're going to have a longer range of the possibility of snow showers. But I think up in the hills, you're only talking about maybe a dusting. Obviously, any icy surface in the hills is a problem if you're driving, more so than being down flat.
Yeah, but it is a common problem. I mean, all those Uber, Lyft drivers, people need help, and they kind of rely on them. So carry chains in your car if you need it, but...
And I think we forget, I mean, I live in Vancouver. There's literally not a hill between my house and downtown Portland.
Yeah.
That's by design, because when I pick a home to live in, I know I have to be able to get to work.
You have to come.
But my point is, if you live in the flats like I do, you kind of forget how many people live up in elevation. We live in a very hilly metro area overall, and it produces problems for driving in these situations.
You got like the Alameda area, Mount Tabor, Happy Valley, which you did say Happy Valley got a little dusting.
Yeah, a little dusting to
today,
half of an inch in
Estacada
spots.
well.
I think the roads never really froze, but they had grassy railing deck dustings, if you will.
Still fun. Okay, any more questions we have from viewers?
Yeah, we have several. Scott Plum wants to know about the gorge. He has to drive to Tri-Cities tonight.
Oh, he's driving through there tonight. I will tell you, this is not like a gorge-driven event. Kind of the blanket or generic forecast for the gorge today isn't that much different than Portland. Scattered snow showers. Temperatures are running a little bit colder out there, so there's a better chance that some areas could get 1 to 2 inches. But I-84, I don't think it gets below 32 during the day, so that means that road remains pretty clear. I don't think precipitation ever gets big enough that ODOT's de-icing trucks wouldn't take care of it. So I'd be really surprised if we have any issues on I-84. You may be driving in some snow showers, but I don't think it's ever going to be anything that ODOT can't keep up with out there today or tonight.
Good. Okay. And you were saying that this the rest of your 7-day forecast, it's kind of bullseye on the coast, right? All these storms are offshore, and I mean the coast would be the first place to kind of get that.
These are all lows that are, for the most part, developing to our north and then dropping to the south offshore. So I could even make the case Saturday that the chance of 4 inches of snow is again going to be much better at the beach than it will be here in town. Now maybe we all get it, but it is interesting to note that that the coast could be the snow bullseye again, which is kind of wacky.
Yeah, it is. It's so weird to see snow on the sand. I remember it one other time, maybe in the last 5 years, when I first started at KGW on the morning show as a reporter, and it was snowing on the beach. It doesn't happen often.
No. But remember, when you get an east wind flow, that impacts the coast the same as it does the valley. It totally shuts off that moderating influence of the Pacific waters. So all of a sudden, the coast is just a landmass, just like Portland.
Yeah.
And it allows the temperature to get to 32, and that's what we had at the coast this morning. They had temperatures 30, 31, 32, while Portland was 34, 35, 36 for most of the morning.
Any more questions?
So let's wrap it up with just a couple specific questions that we had. I want to make sure we answer these people's inquiries. So Jenny Moreno is asking about Forest Grove and snow potential there.
For today or for this going?
She did not
period.
specify. Yeah.
Well, you know, Forest Grove is typically a cold spot because if you have a westerly wind at all, you get the sinking of air coming off the coast range and it pools there. So that's why often on a clear sky morning we show you cold spots. Forest Grove into Hillsborough is usually one of the bullseye spots. But the reason for the let me back up my mind. Winds are light enough that if again there are snow showers coming in this evening, Forest Grove could get maybe an inch of snow, but again, I don't think there's going to be much difference
close enough to the coast
between
range
their chances and here in Portland. In fact, there was more snow along the Cascade foothills this morning, very little that I saw banking up against the coast range, which means it's not a weather pattern that's conducive to that cold air pooling in Yamhill and Washington County. So I would say you have a rogue chance for a dusting of snow, much like downtown Portland.
Good. Should be safe. Okay.
Jenny Tennant wants to know, same question, but for Longview, Washington.
Well, and keep in mind, Longview, Washington is which direction from Portland? Nina?
North?
Yes. So often you do gradually get a little bit colder as you go north.
Seattle got a lot of snow
starting yesterday afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
and it had more snow last night. So, Longview and Kelso up in Cowlitz County and Woodland and Klamath, they're all going to get to freezing tonight, probably a little bit earlier by an hour or so than Portland will. So again, your window of opportunity for some snow showers before this all winds down this evening, a little bit better than Portland's, absolutely.
Okay, so what did we learn? So there's a lot of different apps on your phone that you can get the forecast. A lot of those use computer models that are kind of preset to figure out
They have to
our
be.
weather.
It's an automated program.
But you're using your brain and your experience, right?
Yes, I think so.
And your history of forecasting
trying to-
here of how, just like you were saying, certain elevations at 1,000 feet got snow, other elevations at 1,000 feet did not.
You know what's best, really, about man or woman versus the automated apps on your phone is that you don't get much detail. They throw you up a temperature, they throw you up an icon, they may throw you a sentence or two of what the possibility is, but you can't sit there and watch that and have somebody tell you this is why we think the temperatures may get down to freezing or may stay above. This is the total range of possibilities we're looking at. And again, if you really paid attention to our sunrise show going back to last Wednesday and Thursday, it was pretty close to what we had. I think hopefully you got the understanding that, well, it might be 32, but it could be 35. There's a chance that somebody could get an inch or two of snow at low levels. We don't know where that's going to be. So I think that's really what you're missing is the complete kind of explanation of possibilities. And that's what forecasting is. There's a handful of events throughout the year we can tell you this is when this baby starts, this is when it ends, this is what we're going to get. But 90% of the time, we're trying to give you a range of possibilities, so no matter what happens, you can go, oh yeah, well that is kind of what they talked about.
Yeah, all right.
We're going for that. That's kind of what they talked about.
And you give the range of possibilities so people can prepare in case they get the highest.
Better to be prepared than
I'm chuckling,
not,
but I say if we're not there, but we can tell you exactly what's going to happen. It really is my job to set up possibilities that if you invest a minute or two or three to listen to me, no matter what happens, you can go, oh yeah, they talked about that. Now we understand. That's our job. And and we hope we deliver a good product for you.
All right. Well, as we get closer to Friday, Saturday, we'll hone in that forecast. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching. And stay tuned to Rod Hill's forecast on his Facebook page and at noon today. And we'll narrow down the next snow possibility.
Yeah. Football season's over.
Bye, guys.